Welcome to the October 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Sandusky City Commission. We'll have an invocation offered by Commissioner Meinzer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
We come together today asking for guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of the community. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Myers, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Poole?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Pajali?
Here.
Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Meinzer?
Here.
Commissioners, you have before you the minutes of our meeting of October the 9th, 2023. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Waddington.
move that we accept the minutes of the October 9th meeting and dispense with the formal reading.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved and those minutes are approved. Any residents with comments regarding tonight's agenda items, please step to the podium and share with us your name, address, and your agenda item comments. I'd ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes if that is possible.
There he goes.
My name is Mike Buckhalleck. I live at 1503 McDonald Street, across from Osborne School. That's the reason I'm here. Not want low-income housing in our neighborhood. According to this article on Thursday night, that's the idea of the city of Sandusky, to put low-income housing. Supposedly 20 units will go in that building. I haven't met since this is only Thursday with the rest of the neighborhood, but I'm sure according to the article, you will be competing with neighbors. I do not want, and I'm sure they do not want, low-income housing. For one, where will they park? You have that mess out there on Falling Timbers, where you threw those people out because the property was condemned. Where did those people go? Where do they live now? We don't want that on Osborne Street. We do not want that, and I don't see why the city wants to get involved. Tonight I heard that the charter school on Monroe Street does not want the school, and we would prefer having education in that building, some type of education, boys, girls clubs, whatever. So that's where I stand. And one other thing, it would decrease the property value in our homes. And I have lived there for 42 years. 42 years. And I continue to live there and hope to live there anymore. I've contacted my realtor when I read this article in the paper, and I know a couple other neighbors have already contacted realtors. We do not want low-income housing in that building. One other thing I'd like to control, I would like to thank the city for paving Osborne Street from Central Avenue to Camp Street. Tremendous job. It's beautiful. I have one problem. They start at Central Ave, they go to Camp Street, anywhere from 50 to 60 miles an hour down that road, because it's a straight shot. Straight shot. And the speed limit on that road is 25 miles an hour. Contacted dispatcher many times, and they said they were going to send somebody out and patrol it. I've been there 42 years, and I haven't seen one ticket stop on that stretch of land from Central to Camp. Not one ticket. I haven't even seen them stop anybody. I'm a crossing guard at Ontario School. I started at Osborne Street School and moved with Mrs. Muratori to Ontario. Got the same problem on 1st Street and 5th Street. 2 years ago, they hit my flag. And I have not seen any police stop or ticket anybody on 5th or 1st. This particular year, we're a month and a half in, 6 times they came up the wrong way on one-way street. Ontario is a one-way street. They've had one policeman there this year. Sat there for 10 minutes and left. After he left, 2 more cars came the wrong way. Are we going to correct these problems, or are they going to continue? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Halleck, for your comment. Additional comments from residents on agenda items? If not, we'll move to the introduction of 2 new police cadets. Chief Oliver, will you make those introductions for us?
Thank you, Commission President. Through you to the rest of the board, I just wanted to take a brief moment to introduce our 2 newest cadets. This is Ken Marin, that's Patrick Sheridan. They come to us different directions. Patrick Sheridan used to work for the Cedar Point Security. He's also finishing his bachelor's degree at University of Ashland. Ken Marin served our military in the United States Army. He's a veteran of the Army. They were both recently selected for employment through us. They need to obtain their certification through the state. So they are currently enrolled in the Police Academy through the Sandusky Career Center Academy. It's a part-time academy. They're due to graduate in May. Yes, sir. So between the academy, they're also working for us at the department, helping us with the move, helping us maintain things, records and different things. So we look forward to adding to our staff because it will help us through our patrolling efforts and maybe quell some of Buck Halleck's statements, but we're going to keep working towards that. We're going to keep looking for new staff and just wanted to welcome them and thank you. You guys have anything?
I'm excited.
They're quiet.
That's cadets for you.
In a few words. Huh?
We look forward to them completing the academy. When they do, we'll bring them back. We'll have them sworn in with the city manager and get them out on our streets. And then they start our field training program, which is another 4.5 months. So it's like doing the academy all over again through us with some advanced training. So thanks for joining us and we look forward to it.
I want to thank you both for choosing this as a career. Hopefully it's a career that you'll stay with your whole lives. Certainly it goes without saying that it's so difficult to recruit and find good police officers. You're coming here at an opportune time. This afternoon I spent an hour touring what will be your new facility. If you haven't seen it yet, wait till you see it. It's a knockout. I think we're finally able to give you really a quality facility to work out of. And again, thank you for choosing this as a career.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. And I echo your comments about the newly renovated Justice Center. It is beautiful. So thank the board for that too, because that is really going to help us with our recruitment and our retention. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thanks. Commissioners, you have before you several communications from staff recommending various pieces of legislation. Can I have a motion to accept these communications?
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion will be approved, and hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Commissioners, we have 7 items on the consent agenda this evening. Do any of you wish to move any of these items to the regular agenda? Mr. Myers, will you present the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. Item A, liquor license for Sip and Spin LLC. Item B, liquor license for Patina Porch LLC. Item C, approval of budget amendment number 6. Item D, approval of serving our seniors vehicle lease. Item E, approval of serving our seniors transportation contract. Item F, approval of bulk rock salt purchase for 2024. Item G, approval of grant application to ODNR for navigational aids.
Commissioners, having heard these liquor licenses, ordinances, and resolutions, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harris.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda items A through G and declaring that all ordinances and/or resolutions as drafted and presented to the City Commission under the consent agenda shall take an effect in accordance with section reflected in the ordinances and/or resolutions, whether it be in accordance with section 13 or 14 of the Charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
Now on the liquor licenses, ordinances, and resolutions.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
Those liquor licenses, ordinances, and resolutions are passed. We'll turn to our regular agenda. Ms. Myers, will you present item number 1, please?
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into an agreement for sale of real estate with the Board of Education of the Sandusky City School District for the purchase of real property located at 920 West Osborne Street, former Osborne Elementary School property, and identified as parcel number 58-65001, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Meinzer.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under section 14, full accordance to the Charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Gilson, I wonder if you can share with us what we're doing with this ordinance, and if you can perhaps alleviate some of the concern regarding perhaps the conception that this would end up being low-income housing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through the chair to all the commissioners, the proposed goal for the former Osborne Elementary School, 920 West Osborne Street, is to return the vacant building to productive use. The city will work with a real estate developer with experience to provide for the readaptation of the structure into at least 20 new units of housing. Rental restrictions to ensure affordability for a specific demographic, ideally senior citizens, is the preliminary plan for Osborne School. The building lends itself wonderfully to apartment units, with also large common spaces for fellowship, programming, and services for those that live within. Our intention is to ensure the preservation of the structure according to Sandusky's Preservation Design Guidelines and U.S. Secretary of the Interior for Historic Preservation. Doing so will have positive impact on the surrounding community. As an homage to the former use as an elementary school and to allow connection to the surrounding community and neighbors, preservation of the playground area is of particular importance. Engagement with surrounding neighborhood and surrounding neighbors will be critical to the success of this development. As you know, the city is challenged with a deep need for housing units, with the largest delta being those that are accessible to families or individuals with modest or low income. We're proud to bring this opportunity forward to begin to close that gap. Our goal is to be back before this body in the coming months with additional detail on how to best bring this project to fruition. We have some work to do, and this important first step in gaining site control of the building sets us on that path. I want to thank Chief Planner Erin Blair for her steadfast leadership on this effort, as well as the Sandusky City Schools for their support of the plan to make Osborne a place people can call home. Thank you for your consideration. I'll take any questions.
Comments or questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
Mr. Meinzer.
First of all, Buck, thank you for showing up, and first time I've seen you here in a while, and I like your passion, so I hope you come back. But I was under the impression this developer specialized in housing units for the elderly, and that's what we're targeting, elderly, not low income, like you're thinking of the projects or like the Tims, you would say. I would say that's low income. There's low income, there's affordable income, affordable housing, and there's senior housing. this, which we were led to believe is going to be senior housing. Seniors don't cause a lot of problems. And I'd also like to comment on the street, if I could, that talks about Osborne Street. That is the same thing that everybody goes through when we redo your streets. Remington Avenue, that was terrible. They went down and they paved that thing, and then everybody was calling this a speed zone. They're flying 50 miles an hour down Remington. In my neighborhood, they came down and ground down where a root was under the street, and it was a perfect speed bump. They came down ground, and I was like, oh, no. And I was like, I want my bump back, because they come flying around there, and I understand that. So I think they have those little sign things that we could put up in neighborhoods and tell you how fast you're going. And I don't know if you can monitor them or measure them. If that's something we could do, hopefully go forward. But
Absolutely, sir.
my impression is this is a senior housing for people like my age or your age that I can't imagine you cause much trouble anymore, so.
You can put that in writing, man.
That's my impression. As we move forward, we're gonna figure that out.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole.
two things. I just want to, at what point in the equation are we going to be closer to Mr. Halleck's concerns about definitely what you're going to put in there?
Through the chair to the commissioner, at what point, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, at what point, the concern is he has indicated he's not concerned if we're actually going to do senior housing. At what point do we, your comments indicated preliminary intentions. That's a completely different story, and I understand the need to say that. Where down the line, if we pass this today, do we ensure or make sure that that's what it turns out to be?
Right. Once it
What are our options? I guess what I'm out to. If I say okay today, where's the guardrails?
Thank you. Through the president to the commissioner, typically in a situation like this, once a developer is identified, he or she will have a period of due diligence to look at financing for the building. And our intention is to work with the developer for the production of senior housing, which will then look at the different financing mechanisms. Through that process and through that due diligence, it's our intention to engage with the neighborhood about that plan. So I would say within the next 3 to 4 months, up to 6 months, typically is what a due diligence period would take. We would be engaging with residents.
Okay, thank you. And just one other comment about repaving streets and speed. Yes, it happens all the time that's what occurs. That doesn't mean we're going to find it acceptable or not need it to be resolved. It deals with speeding on our streets. The difference between, yes, it happens to everybody, that doesn't excuse us allowing it to occur. We have to come up with something.
Ms. Gilson, the important point of your presentation is that there will be community outreach. And whomever the developer is, or whomever we partner with in that development, there'll be community outreach. We will listen to the neighborhood. We will hear their voice, and we will make a decision, presumably based on the needs and wants of that neighborhood.
That is correct.
Yeah. So I think, again, Mr. Halleck, I appreciate your passion. Obviously, I've known you for 60 years now. I know how passionate you are about certain issues, and it's important that you are. And it's also important, I think, to each of us that we get this right. We're not going to shove something down the neighborhood's throat that doesn't belong there or that there is solid opposition to. Obviously, I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you that I will dig in on that issue also.
Mr. Chairman, if somebody else wants to speak, that's fine, but I've got a last thought.
Comments or questions, Commissioners?
Just
Mr.
two
Murray.
things, Mr. Chairman. One, to maybe rhetorically answer Mr. Poole's question, but the commission has to approve any sale of real estate, and so it will be up to this body, whoever's sitting here at the time, to make sure that we work with staff and that that is the outcome that the community desires and that what is delivered. And the second point is I continue to like to see speeding cameras used. It's a good solution. I don't know if the public would support it. I'm not clear on that. But I think that that's one tool that we should put in the hands of the SPD to address these situations.
Mr. Poole?
Two things. One, yes, I agree with speed cameras. I think you'll find the neighborhoods that have the problem, that the neighborhoods will support it just fine. random speed cameras is probably going to meet a lot of opposition, but for neighborhoods, I totally agree. I think we should invest in that. About Osborne School, it sounds to me that if you get a developer that develops senior housing, then we're going to get the outcome that we want. So I will vote yes tonight, and the developer that agrees to do senior housing is what I will vote yes going forward on. Fortunately, you're lucky because I'm only going to be here another 2 months, but that's where I'm at.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioners? Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 2, please.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into an agreement for professional services with Transmat Corporation of Columbus, Ohio for the 2023 pavement condition survey update and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray.
I had a brief exchange with Mr. Klein about the cost of this relative to when it was we did this last 6 years ago, and the costs are in line a little lower, in fact, so that's a good thing. And when we had done it before, as the communication indicated, it was intended to be good for 5 years. We've extended it out 6 years, but we are at the point where, Mr. Klein, you've repaired so many streets, we need to do this again to find out which ones are most deserving of it. And this has been a great tool for, I think, both the staff and the commission. It takes the politics out of which road gets addressed next. That is something that occurs in way too many communities. Somebody with influence says, I want my street fixed, that gets fixed. This is objective, it is, the criteria are clear, and it's been a really great, no pun intended, roadmap for the work that we're doing on our streets. So thank you for bringing this opportunity to us.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajali.
I would agree with Mr. Murray. I think that it's important to have pavement condition ratings because anytime you seek funding, they'll always ask for those. And actually, when I looked at the cost, I thought it was pretty reasonable that they were going to drive the entire city. So I agree.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioner? Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present our last item, item number 3.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with Great Lakes Demolition Company, LLC of Clyde, Ohio for the 2023 West Monroe Street Outfall Project and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole.
move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Klein, for the benefit of our local audience and our viewing audience, would you explain what an outfall is?
Sir, Mr. President, we have storm sewers that discharge directly to streams or to the bay or to the lake. And in this case, the storm sewer goes directly to Mills Creek on Monroe. Well, there's also a portion of the storm sewer that heads to the wastewater treatment plant. And in 25 and in 26, I believe, we're doing 2 storm water projects from Broadway all the way to about Decatur. And we would rather not send that to the wastewater treatment plant and continue it through a brand-new outfall that goes into Mills Creek. So this will take that flow from, right now, it'll just be from Broadway, and it'll redirect it from the wastewater treatment plant, so we're not treating it, and it'll go directly to Mills. The good thing is that it's stormwater, it's not combined sewer, it's just, the water that falls on the roads and the catch basins, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Comments or questions, Commissioners? Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. That concludes our regular agenda. We'll turn to our city manager for his report.
Good evening, Commissioners, audience, and staff. I have a donation of $2,306.99 for the K-9 account. This was received from Dr. Robert Johnson of Peds on Wheels. The donation will be used to purchase ballistic vest for K-9 Vigo and K-9 Chase. Thank you, Dr. Johnson, for your generous donation. If I could get a motion to accept that.
Been a
Second.
motion and a second, I think. Discussion? Without objection, that motion be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Our thanks to Dr. Johnson.
Thank you. The next item is, as Commission's aware, the city manager makes the law director appointment with approval by the city commission. And tonight I would like to ask that you approve Stu Hastings as our next law director. We had a interview, accepted applications. We had an interview round that Director Gilson and Chief Fowler were involved in some other staff. Mr. Hastings was unanimously put through to the second round. Justin Harris, Mr. Murray, and myself, Michelle, and Aaron Klein were on the second round. And all of us unanimously endorsed Mr. Hastings. He brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise. He was in the City of Cleveland Law Department from 2004 to 2021. And then he's been the Beechwood Law Director from 2021 until current. Again, he has a vast amount of knowledge in a lot of areas, and so I'd ask for a motion to approve his appointment as our next law director.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray.
I'll simply say that I did have that opportunity to meet Mr. Hastings and learn about his background. Very, very rich background, varied career. I think he's going to bring a tremendous amount of ability and talent to the position. I think he's going to be a great member for the staff to work with. He seems to be a very accessible person, and that's just been the nature of the career that he's had. I do want to address one item that has come up publicly. There was an issue some years ago when Mr. Hastings was at the City of Beechwood, when they found it necessary to take steps to protect a fire chief. The fire chief was under assault in social media by what was highly suspected to be another employee because of the nature of the specifics included in those postings. I know there are some that are concerned about that as being, and the city took some steps to challenge that and find out the identity of that individual. The city didn't have any choice, in my judgment and Mr. Hastings' judgment, to move forward with that because they had an obligation to protect the fire chief from a hostile work environment. That's what was on the line. And although the preliminary skirmish in the trial court resulted in denial of that motion, that did result in a cessation of the activity. And so the city took the right steps, in my judgment, to protect that chief, and the city had an obligation to do so. So, I mean, First Amendment rights are not absolute. Maybe a lot of folks are familiar with the adage that you don't have the right to cry fire in a crowded theater. That's the most immediate example of that, but there are other restrictions on First Amendment rights. We have to use our right to speak in public judiciously, and sometimes those rights intersect with other rights, and there needs to be a balancing of that. And I thought the advice that Mr. Hastings provided was the right advice. Others can challenge that, and they did, and the court found differently in that instance. But that's the nature of our judicial system, to work through those issues, but it's a balancing those issues. And he was doing what he was asked to do by the administration, which was to protect that fire chief. So, a lot of nattering out there about that activity. I think it's entirely wrong, and I wanted to take a minute to set that record straight.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Additional comments or questions, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Bedoya.
just wanted to welcome Mr. Hastings to 240 Columbus Ave, and we know you'll have a fond and nice career here as our law director. And at the same time, I'd like to bid farewell to Mr. Harris, and the fact that we appreciate the fact that you step up and you filled in during our time of need.
Thank you, Commissioner. Through the Commission President, to the Commission at large and the city as a whole, well, thanks for allowing me to pinch hit, but I did sit in on the interviews of Stu, and I could echo what both John and Commissioner Murray have indicated. Frankly, his qualifications were second to no one who interviewed, and just based on my knowledge and experience with a firm that has a presence in Cleveland, his reputation is impeccable, and his knowledge base far exceeds mine. So as a city of Sandusky resident who was born and raised here, I feel like the city's in good hands.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Murray.
I don't believe that Mr. Hastings knew that our interim law director started with a full head of hair. But it may be too late.
Mr. Chairman, I want to welcome Mr. Hastings as well, and thank Mr. Harris for filling in again. But I don't want to make you afraid by saying again, but I did get an email from an anonymous Facebook group that called attention to another anonymous Facebook group that the accusations were made by a person that made up, he's a keyboard warrior. So I'm like, I trust Mr. Orzak, I trust Justin, Michelle, whoever your name is on the board. He's Chief Orzak, or Mr. Orzak is the chief hiring and firing authority in the city of Sandusky, and I trust his judgment 100%. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, everyone.
You know, you attorneys all in this day and age seem to specialize in something, and it is unique for an attorney to specialize in government service, and you have done that for the majority of your career. I think we are fortunate to have you, and I'm counting on you lasting at least 2 years. That's how long I'm going to last. Additional comments, Commissioners? Ms. Myers, you call a roll on the motion to appoint Mr. Hastings as our law director.
Yes. Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
That motion is passed, and we have a new law director. As of November 1st, I understand. Is that correct?
Yep, November 1st. I don't know, Stu, if you want to step up and if you want to make any comments, you're welcome to do so.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited, delighted. Welcome I've gotten from everyone, the staff, the people I've met in Sandusky. My wife and I are looking forward to, that's my wife Toby right there. We're looking forward to meeting everyone and work for Sandusky, and hopefully, getting things moving, as always, in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next Finance Committee meeting will be on November 3rd on a Friday, 8 o'clock at City Hall. The Customer Accounting Office will begin assessing a credit card convenience fee on November 1st, 2023. The convenience fee will be 2.5% of the transaction total with a minimum of $2. These are the same fees that are already assessed to customers in the building code, community development, and recreation departments. The convenience fee are collected by the credit card processing company to cover their expenses. The city does not receive any revenue. Public Works has a whole slew. Erie County Health Department will begin construction of a southbound right turn lane on Superior Street. Plans were approved by staff and will be inspected by the Engineering Division. Formal acceptance of this infrastructure will be presented at a future commission meeting. Phase 1 of the Justice Center is nearly complete. I think some of the commissioners were able to walk through today. SPD will be relocating to the north side of the building with slight changes to public access. At the same time, the municipal court will be relocating to our service center for the remainder of the project. Once dates are finalized, this information will be presented to the public in various media outlets. The Butler Street reconstruction project set to begin the week of October 23rd, which I think somebody said they were out there today. Local traffic will be maintained along Butler Street, along with the Butler Street ramp will remain open. A full closure is expected to go into place Monday, October 30th through the remainder of the reconstruction. Detour routes will be set up, directing traffic to alternate routes. Various divisions will begin routine winterization, including closure of restrooms and other facilities, saving any facility in use for businesses or recreation until last, unless temperatures dictate otherwise. And then the drop-off area for bag leaves is now open and located near the Marquette Drive entrance to the City Service Center. For questions about the curbside leaf collection program, visit our website or call 419-627-5884. And lastly, work on the Monroe Street paving and Healthy Haze safety projects were completed last week. Additionally, crews completed pavement repairs on Campbell Street, funded by Norfolk and Southern over 2 days of the last week. This was done because Campbell received excessive wear and tear as a detour route during the Columbus Ave closure. For community development, the Department of Community Development will be seeking an RFP for the 2024 to 2029 Consolidated Plan Update and 2024 One-Year Action Plan. Additional information will be available online on the city's website starting October 30th, 2023 through November 20th, 2023. The City of Sandusky has submitted a pre-application to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Coastal Management Assistance Program for improvements to accessibility of the Meg Street Pier. Proposed scope including sidewalk repair, regrading, fence removal, and wayfinding. If invited to submit a full application, city staff will seek authorization from commission. Full applications are likely due at the end of 2023. And then for planning, the Lang Trust, in coordination with the Public Arts and Culture Commission and Sandusky Rec staff, has placed new sculptures around the city as part of the ongoing Midwest Sculpture Initiative. This annual program brings large-scale sculptures by various artists into parks across the city for the public to enjoy. The locations and descriptions of each sculpture will be highlighted on an upcoming map, which will be available at the Sandusky Library. And lastly, for the Rec Department, they would like to ask the City Commission for permission to accept a $1,000 grant from Sam's Club. This is a quality of life community grant for improving access to recreation, arts, or cultural experiences for out of school at Mills Rec. If I can get a
motion for that.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. Without objection, that motion is approved. Hearing no objection, that is approved with our thanks.
And that concludes my report. Take any
Comments
questions.
or questions for the city manager?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wadding.
I've been asked, I hang out down in the pier in the morning, drink my coffee at the Jackson Street Pier, and some of the walkers that come down, we're going to keep that restroom facility open again this winter, correct? Because I know they lock it, because we get a lot of walkers. We've kept it open in the past.
I'll double check, but if it was open last year, we'll keep it open this year.
Because that was like, if they're out walking,
Especially
got to have some kind of.
Yep.
Additional comments for the city manager? That will turn to items of old business. Any items of old business? Commissioner Harris.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to share some thoughts just regarding, I guess the hot button topic of the rec center. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. Today I stand before you with immense pride and excitement as we continue to discuss a remarkable opportunity that has come our way. Thanks to the historic $100 million deal with Cedar Point in 2021, we have been granted an opportunity that will indeed shape our community's future. Out of that deal, roughly $14 million has been allocated to the creation of a rec center, a facility that will undoubtedly enrich our lives and the lives of generations to come. However, let's not ignore the truth. Building and maintaining a recreation center comes with significant annual operating costs. This isn't about turning a profit. It's about providing affordable and enriching programming for our residents and those in nearby areas. Unfortunately, without the passage of the levy, we cannot move forward with this endeavor. I've been following the discussions on Facebook, and it's evident that many of our residents have strong opinions. Some wish for both a recreation center and a pool, which is entirely understandable. But tell me, how many of us have ever gotten everything we wanted when we wanted it? I'll wait. The good news is the aquatic center being constructed at the high school offers shared usage through an agreement that has been put in place. I see this as a complementary addition to our recreation center, creating a hybrid that caters to a wide range of desires without the exorbitant cost. Instead of spending millions on an outdoor pool that might only be used for a fraction of the year, our city contributed roughly $500,000 to the aquatic center, providing us with year-round access for at least 50% of the time. This not only stretches our resources further, but also addresses the challenge of staffing and maintaining outdoor pools, a challenge faced by many neighboring communities. Responsibility lies not only with our elected officials, but also with the community. I applaud the few who attended the public meeting last week regarding the recreation center, but I must express my disappointment at the low turnout. For nearly 4 years, I've served in this position and have observed a disconnect between those who voice their concerns online and those who actively engage with the city's leadership and staff to make a difference. The limitations of our recreation center are clear. It may not include everything on everyone's wish list, and believe me, I have dreams of my own for it. However, I urge you all to focus on what it does offer. It is indeed a step in the right direction, expanding our community's amenities and providing our recreation department with a foundation to build upon the incredible programming they've already initiated at the former middle school location. In closing, I encourage everyone, if you already haven't, to please get out and vote. I also thank each and every one of you who are committed to the betterment of our city, and let us not be divided by our desires, but unified by our shared goal of making Sandusky an even better place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Additional items of old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole.
I don't think there should be a void after that promotion or a vacuum. Yes, there's a ballot issue dealing with funding a recreation center. I would suggest that we have $20 million, or at one time had $20 million of federal money, of which I'm not sure that spending $15 million of it on one building, with all the things that we need to be done, that can be done in this community that need to be done, is really a wise choice of utilizing the money. I would suggest that, yes, we build it on a abandoned industrial site that we think or have alluded that maybe you can make it suitable to utilize for our kids to play on, and that it's near the high school. Well, I would suggest that probably 80% of our children ride school buses. So promoting that rec center idea because it's near the junior high and the high school seems a little bit misleading to me at best, because I doubt if children that ride the bus are going to skip that. In addition, in order to make that happen, I presume the school is going to provide facilities so that everybody that wants to go to the rec center has a place to store their gym clothes for after work or whatever it is, after school for whatever. Just essentially, the lack of turnout at the meetings could very well be because folks have recognized that this $15 million building is not going to bring very much in terms of additional use for the kids of the community. Those who have single parents that have no ride the buses, don't have a way to get there by themselves and back. There's just so many other things that we could be doing with $15 million to provide recreational activities in the neighborhoods where kids can actually access them. Spending this kind of money and then another added tax, $640,000 a year for only those kids that are able to get there It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I've got Boys and Girls Club on the east end. We have Mill School on the south side. I'm not sure what else we need. So I would just ask you to take that into consideration when you're deciding what to vote for. And we'll live with whatever the public comes up and says they want. I would suggest that programming that meet the needs of the children in the areas that they have full access to get to it makes more sense than a building with a basketball court, offices for the recreation department, and some rooms that you can do some exercise. And feel free to disagree with me, but I don't see, for the amount of money we're investing in this, that you're getting enough bang for our buck for the children of the community long term. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Poole. Additional, Mr. Murray.
I'd like to take Mr. Poole up on his invitation to disagree with him, agreeably, of course.
Of course.
But first, I want to echo everything that Mr. Harris said in his thoughtful comments. I couldn't improve on that. What I do want to point out is that we have an historic opportunity in front of us. This is an opportunity that won't come again, I don't believe. We have a lot of things aligned at the moment. We have it's not an enforceable, binding agreement that we have with Cedar Point, but we increased the admissions tax and added the parking tax with their support because we had a handshake deal that we're going to dedicate $700,000 of that new income stream to building this building. We can bond that off, which is what the present intent is to do. And to the best of my knowledge, no ARPA money under the $21 million of stimulus money is being used on this project. Perhaps some for planning. I don't remember exactly what the source was for all of those different parts and pieces. It's a lot to keep track of. But the building will be built with the admissions tax. That's what's going to fund this. We have said many times at this table that we would not, what's the right word? We would not leave a future commission and a future public to look at how they're going to fund this building when the hard times come, because they do. They always do. The hard times come and rec centers get closed. That's what always happens. And then they're closed long enough that they can't really be reopened. So we've always said, absent a dedicated income stream to support the operations of the rec center, we wouldn't proceed. So the question is in front of the public. Yes, not all the contours of the rec center are defined, but there has been a lot of discussion here. There has been a lot reported in the newspaper. There is a lot that's on the city's website that outlines what our intent is. We've got to go through a planning process next. If the voters say go forward, then we're going to have a much better process of finding out what this thing is going to look like, how large it can be, what we can afford, and then we've got to go ultimately out to bid after we have drawings assembled. That's probably another 18 months, 2 years before we let out a bid. But I certainly hope that's something I get to vote on before I leave, along with Mr. Brady, in 2 years. Thank you.
Additional items of old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bajaj.
and I think Mr. Murray clarified. I think, Mr. Poole, did you say federal funds? Or
That's what I've been hearing all along. So, and I'm listening here.
wanting to clarify?
I feel the same. I feel the same way about Cedar Point money. The money we're getting from that. There's better uses for the money.
Well, yeah, but
Simple
they're
as
not
that.
federal.
There's not, and that's it. And I stand corrected if that is accurate.
The good news on this whole process is that so many times the public feels like maybe we're shoving something down their throat or they don't get a say. The public gets a say this time, and I think that's very important. That's the way this process should work. If we don't pass this levy, we've all decided we can't move forward because we don't have that dedicated funding stream. So I'm just happy this is the way the process works, and we'll find out after the public votes.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Weiser.
I must jump in. As much as it looks like we might not agree on this, we're all kind of on the same page on this. One, as Mr. Harris pointed out, the attendance was really low. the only two people from the public at the one that I went to at the Mylander building was myself and Mrs. Thompson. And there were two civilian, well, two of us candidates went to the presentation. And I was very impressed with the presentation. It went well, answered a lot of my questions. And I want to remind everybody, this is an operation, vote for operation of a rec department only. We have not spent $14, $15, $12 million on any building, and I would be opposed to that part of it. I think for the square foot building that is being proposed, we can cut that almost in half. I think we can get that down if we get the right construction company and the right developers, that we can make that a lot less money. We're not voting on building a building. At some point, we will. And if it comes in at 14 million, I'll probably be opposed to it, because that's just 400 some square feet. $400 a square feet is a lot of money to build a 36,000 square foot building. So that's another issue. But right now, we're just looking ways to fund it. And they made a great presentation. If you miss it, I'd encourage you to try to look at the drawings and look at the proposals that the staff has made. It's pretty nice. Thank you.
Additional items of old business, Commissioners. Items of new business. Any items of new business? I will add, under new business, I will ask for a motion, much as I did a year ago, to appoint Commissioner Harris to serve with myself on the Benefit Review Committee, which will meet sometime in November.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Byers, will you call a roll on that motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Mr. Meinzer?
Yes.
Mr. Harris, you are appointed. Additional items of new business. I am going to turn to Mr. Pajali and Mr. Waddington, who both have approached me with a concept that I think is perhaps long overdue, and that is an outreach in the community to acknowledge some of those many people that have been out on the leading edge of our economic development. I'm not going to steal your thunder. This is your and Mr. Waddington's idea, and I'll turn it over to you to explain what your concept is.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Waddington and I had talked about doing some sort of recognizing people that were instrumental in developing in the downtown area as a beginning, sort of a downtown urban pioneer award. And originally we thought about doing it with the volunteer awards in September, but we thought maybe we should separate those two awards out and start with the people that developed before it was cool to develop in the downtown, when you could roll a bowling ball down Columbus Ave and not hit anybody. And these people had vision, and they had the guts, and they were willing to move forward and put their money on the line and try to make something work. So in the next couple of months, we're going to put that together, and it'll be forthcoming down the road here.
Excellent
I don't know if
idea.
Mr. Waddington wants to say that.
I'm good. This was Steve's idea. He worked with me on the volunteer stuff. That this year was our third year for that. I think that was much needed. I think this will be a good example of downtown, and maybe in the future, look out in the neighborhoods, who took chances and, helped develop homes, and took something and made a great house out of it, or home out of it, beyond the beautification stuff that we do now. So,
Great idea.
okay.
Thanks to both of you.
Yep.
Additional items of new business, Commissioners? If not, we will ask for public comments on any items that pertain to city business.
Yep.
So share with us your name and address for our records. Your comments regarding city business.
How y'all doing? My name is Alonda Gant. I live at 315 West Osborne Street. What else do I have to say? Is that
That's
it?
it, just name and address.
I'm here on behalf of the rec center. I found it disappointing that he thinks that it's a waste of money. I have a 16-year-old son that goes to Sandusky High School. I was one of the 3 people that he attended the recreation meeting at middle school. For many reasons. He has just basketball hoops and it's just a walking track, but I watch my little cousins, I watch a lot of people commute to Norwalk, to Fremont, to join teams for their kids to play. We're talking like little kids, because We can't organize teams here at our own rec center, so they're driving in the evening just so their kids can play. We're going there when that money could be going to our own facility. I mean, you got to look at the bigger picture of all kids, not just basketball hoops. And it is a convenient location, you know. 80% of the kids don't ride buses. My son has never rode a bus. And it's a good location versus when people were trying to go out to sports for us. You don't want kids riding bikes out there. I am big on an outdoor pool. Yes, we're getting the aquatic center over at the high school, but I grew up in the era of Surf's Up and then Osborne Park. Our kids will never have the memories of the summer fun with their friends, hanging out. It defeats the purpose of going out to beat the heat if you got to go inside a building at the high school. I just hope the levy passes. And I think if y'all cater to the citizens, there's so many reasons why we shouldn't, why we can't, why we don't, that anything else y'all propose for downtown, the tourists, y'all want to build, y'all want to have, I think we'll agree with. But I really feel like y'all are neglecting the citizens, neglecting the youth. We have nothing. My child didn't make the basketball team from the 3rd to the 8th grade, and we had nowhere to get him extra practice. Schools don't offer open gyms for these kids. You know, they get in trouble. If we had somewhere for them to go and we had organized things for them, I think that that would help a lot. We don't need any more water activity areas if this rec passes. We have these splash passes. Again, my son is 6'3", 16-year-old boy with a face full of hair. What does he look like going to the splash pad with these little kids trying to be? I think it's a joke. But I just hope you take us into consideration and look at the bigger picture of just the numbers of what it can do for our community. So we don't have to drive to Norwalk to go swimming, or we don't have to, adults have to drive to Norwalk to join their summer intramural baseball games, or we don't have the dads who are active with their kids organizing team at somebody else's rec center that we got to drive to in the evening. We bring our kids home late, it's bedtime. You know, when we can have this right here. We have so much going on. We're one of the top 10, waterfront cities in the country. Why the heck don't your citizens have a recreation center? And why don't y'all cater to us more? The money y'all get, you get money from Cedar Point, you know? Why can't y'all spend a little more to make us happy? In the long run, I think it'll work out. We haven't had a pool in so many years, so how do you know that if we get one, it won't prosper? And then you talk about the months that we're gonna have it. It's not the whole year, so it's not like you gotta fund it the whole year. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just hope y'all listen to me and get what I'm saying, and I'm very passionate about that, and that's why I'm here. I'm a citizen who cares. All right?
Thank you for your comments.
Y'all have a good day.
Additional resident comments on any items pertaining to city business? Seeing no one rushing to the microphone, I'll entertain a motion